Moose hunting season wrapped up Thursday with more than 350 hunters trying to bag an animal. At issue this morning, Cat Viglienzoni talked to Vermont Fish and Wildlife Commissioner Patrick Berry about how hunters did and the health of the herd.
The moose hunters themselves, were they seeing the same problem that the other hunters were about the food being plentiful?
Yeah, but generally speaking, moose hunters will start scouting weeks in advance, and they'll travel a lot through the woods, and they'll have a really good idea of where those animals are going to be, and so they can kind of pattern them and return, hopefully. And there's some areas of the state where the densities are just high enough that you can come across a number of animals. So those folks who took the time to scout are probably going to be the ones who are the most successful. The season went fairly well, and actually the numbers, preliminary numbers, seem to be comparable to previous years, and there were some really nice moose that were taken. I think the sizes are fairly comparable from what we've seen, but like I said, we've got to assess the data that we take at these check stations before we get a real sense of the health trajectory.
But anecdotally, it's been good?
Anecdotally, yeah, it's been good.
And back to the deer ticks, I know I had heard that originally we started the moose hunts to kind of control the moose population.
Yeah.
With the ticks, are we worried that that population is now controlled by those and we don't need the hunts anymore?
We're not quite there yet. I mean, we still have certain parts of the state where the densities, we are kind of where we want them, and we need hunters to help keep them in check a little bit. We look at this very carefully, and we actually dropped the permit numbers this year from the previous 2 years. But make no mistake, there are still a healthy enough herd where hunters can help us keep those animals in check with habitat and food resources. And here's what we'll do, is we are going to look at the success rates. How do people do out there? How many moose were actually harvested? We're going to look at animal health. When you bring your moose into these very specific check stations, we take a lot of data off those animals, including body weights, age, sex, etc., so we get a sense of how healthy the animals are. And this year, we actually added the addition of looking for those winter ticks. So by the time that we present our proposal for the next season to the Fish and Wildlife Board, they make the regulations, we'll have a good idea of the overall health of the animals themselves in the herd, and we'll adjust permits accordingly. And if we're concerned about animal health, then sure, we'll drop the permit numbers. And if we think that the population is getting a little bit low in some part of the state, then we can drop those numbers. If it's getting a little bit bigger, then we can increase the permit numbers. So we're really lucky that we have hunters as our partners to help keep them animals in check throughout the state regionally.